In light of the military conflict happening in Ukraine right now between Russia and Ukraine, what are the U.S. immigration options for Ukrainians? I'm Erick Widman, and we've been getting so many questions from worried family, from Ukrainians, and from business owners about what people can do to help their loved ones, to help their friends and colleagues travel to the U.S. and potentially get a green card or at least some kind of temporary status. So in this video, I'd like to break down the main ways that Ukrainians can currently benefit and pursue immigration options. So the first option that's not going to be available to probably most Ukrainians is a family or business-based petition. If a Ukrainian has a family member who could petition for a spouse, a child, a parent, brother or sister, which takes longer, but if there's a family member who can petition for the Ukrainian beneficiary, that is definitely worth pursuing, and then request an expedite with USCIS, and then as well with the National Visa Center and the State Department. If you've already got a pending immigrant visa petition or an employment-based petition, certainly pursue an expedite request with either USCIS or the State Department. There are clear, compelling reasons why they would want to speed that up. And definitely the world knows all the reasons why that needs to happen, be given top priority. The second main option after family or employment-based petitions is seeking humanitarian parole. And humanitarian parole is when there is a compelling humanitarian reason for someone who is otherwise inadmissible into the United States because they don't have a visa perhaps, but to get into the US by filing Form I-131 humanitarian parole petition. That's the form that's used. And you're able to qualify for this when there is an urgent emergency like an armed conflict. So many Ukrainians certainly should qualify for humanitarian parole. And that is an option when someone's outside the United States facing one of these horrible disasters. So humanitarian parole, and that allows someone to be paroled into the US who is otherwise inadmissible. If you're outside the US, that's one of the few and best options available. For those who are Ukrainians in the United States already, the Department of Homeland Security just announced that Ukrainians will be given temporary protected status in the very near future once the federal register is updated. So temporary protected status also applies when there is an emergency, compelling humanitarian reason. The specific categories: ongoing armed conflict, environmental disaster, other extraordinary and temporary conditions. So this allows people to stay in the United States and work, get an EAD work permit, and live their lives here with employment authorization and a type of legal status. That is going to be wonderful for many people who might have fallen out of status or are here as visitors. Then another option is asylum. And that is a protection that's available worldwide. Many Ukrainians, of course, are going to Hungary, going to Romania, Poland, and are seeking refuge there. You could come to the US and apply for asylum at the border, and you could come in as a visitor and apply within a year, for example. But to win your case, you've got to show that you're persecuted for specific reasons. And the reasons are fairly narrow, and asylum is tough to win. Here's the categories: race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. So those are the only categories that are currently allowed. And that's standard across the world, those standard categories of protected classes. So those are the main options available to Ukrainians. And one nuance I want to suggest too is that someone can apply for port parole, which is a type of humanitarian parole that didn't involve applying for that with USCIS ahead of time. So instead of applying for asylum at the border or soon after, you could at the border apply with a CBP officer to be paroled in based upon humanitarian parole and seek this port parole option. Be prepared with proof of the reasons why there's a compelling emergency that would prevent you from going home. Hope this is helpful. Let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to assisting people with helpful information like this going forward. Take care.